It's your boy King Cobra back at it with another video. Trump's reform policy for transgender affirming care is going to piss a lot of people off. But here's the thing of it. I actually agree with it. It's not transphobic, it's common sense. For one, making the government pay for your transgender surgery is kind of messed up when they could be using that money to help out the homeless and things of that nature. And two, letting kids fully transition is so messed up. It's mutilation. You gotta protect the minors. That's all I'm saying. Hear me out, YouTube, before you call me a bigot. If kids are not old enough to smoke tobacco and drink alcohol, get tattoos or vote, then they're not old enough to transition. Kids do not know what they want. They will gravitate and feed off of what the adults are doing. So if this whole trans thing is super popular, and kids just want to fit in and get acceptance, they'll gravitate towards it. That's why grooming them is so fucked up. And here's the thing of it. You can teach kids to be tolerant of LGBTQ+, without convincing them that they're in the wrong body. It's like, let them make that decision for themselves. And quite frankly, it's messed up, because when I was a kid, I never had to worry about shit like this. I wasn't intolerant of it, but at the same time, I wasn't questioning my own shit like that either. So what happens when a kid decides that they're transgender? Well, let them cross-dress and experiment with it, but that's as far as it goes. It's just the cross-dressing. The hormone replacement, the puberty blockers, fuck all of that. It's disastrous because they're pumping hormones into our children's food, which causes them to hit puberty way too early. Super unhealthy, by the way. And then your puberty blockers prevent it from happening on top of it. That's like an imbalance of all kinds of chemicals and shit. It's so messed up. And these people, we'll call them people because it's polite. I don't want to assume anyone's gender and get canceled. They're so quick to have acceptance and tolerance that some of these more extremist assholes will say, and they don't stop and think, oh, well, kids are stupid, they don't know what they want in life, they're probably just trying to find acceptance and get attention. It's stupid, it's what it is. Now what happens when your kid decides, well, they're no longer trans, but you've already gone through with the surgery? Detransitioning is a lot harder than transitioning, period. And it's like, kids don't understand the concept of gender and trans. And neither do the adults, quite frankly, because they'll say shit like, gender is fluid. And I'm like, no, gender is not a fluid. Fluid is a liquid. Gender is not a social concept. Gender is based in biology, and biology doesn't give a fuck about your pronouns. And you want proof to what I'm saying is true? Well, think about this. The biggest argument that trans people love to make is that gender is not defined by genitalia. Well, if that were true, then why do you modify yours to look like the opposite sex? Well, I'll say the opposite gender because sex and gender are different. Fuck sickos. Let me ask you this. Would you let your kids smoke cigarettes? And would you buy it for them? Of course not, knowing how highly addictive tobacco is and how it has disastrous consequences for your body, and some of the shit that cigarettes give you is non-reversible. Would you let your kid watch adult movies where adults are doing it? Of course you wouldn't. If you got your kid watching adult films, you'd probably fucking ground them and then have to give them the talk. You know what I'm saying? And that's awkward. So I believe that if you want to be trans, no one's stopping you. But wait till you've gone through puberty as the gender you are assigned. Wait till you're an adult and you're more mature to make that decision. And not just gravitating towards whatever is politically popular because you want to make your parents happy. You know what I'm saying, YouTube? You can't say things like breastfeeding, that's gender inclusive language. But at the same time, they tell us to be more inclusive of trans people, which, how is it not gender inclusive to say these are my pronouns? You know what I'm saying? And I'm just asking questions here. Plus, you have to rely on someone else's validation to validate who you are as a person. So no one half the time is going to take you seriously. Whereas I don't give a shit what people think about me. I get made fun of for being goth. Words like tranny and faggot are used as a derogatory insult to make fun of me for being a hetero-cis normative male that wears nail polish and goth makeup and shit. And because of that crap, I will tell people the same thing the trans community loves to tell us. Don't assume my pronouns, bigot. That not every man who wears makeup is gay or trans. That's a stereotype. Then you using it as an insult shows how bigoted you are as a person. And that's just my opinion. And nothing against trans people, but sometimes y'all can be a little self-centered. And it's all about you and your pronouns, and everyone else can fuck off, right? Let me give you an example. And pour ourselves a little something stiff. If you see a trans person changing in the female locker room, they got the tits, they got the long hair, they got a little bit of facial surgery done. It kind of looks like a chick, kind of doesn't. You know, it's hard to tell, right? But they pull down their pants and they still got a penis and balls. What? Okay, if you have a dick and balls, you do not belong in the female locker room, period. When you make your fellow women feel uncomfortable and unsafe in their own safe space while screaming how you're oppressed and your safe space is more important, these people who are made to feel uncomfortable, quite frankly, are told just get over it and you're being transphobic. So now men who are turning themselves into chicks are silencing the voices of other women. And quite frankly, it's disgusting. Women have had to fight since before the 60s to have the right to vote, to have their own sports leagues. And that's another thing Trump is going to do. He's going to make it so, like, these people cannot compete alongside women because, quite frankly, it's unfair to have these dudes who have benefited from testosterone their entire life. They get fake tits and a little bit of estrogen, and now all of a sudden they're a female. Fuck that. And no offense to trans people, but identity politics and pronouns are fucking stupid. I can say I identify as Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. That doesn't make it true, does it? No, it does not. It does not, YouTube. I'm not here to pick on trans people. I'm just calling out the extreme woke culture. Because quite frankly, I don't have a problem with trans or gay people. I have a problem with the woke ideology and the extremist politics that surrounds this narrative. No one's saying you can't be trans. But if you're a dude transitioning into a chick, you cannot have babies. You can adopt them like any gay couple would, as long as they're in a loving and safe, nurturing home. And you don't force your kid to be trans like yourself and let them just do their own thing. That's called grooming, assholes. Stop it. You woke assholes. And people Photoshop me looking trans just to make fun of me for being a hetero cis normative goth who wears goth makeup and shit. And quite frankly, it's disgusting because I'm not. They're bullying me for being a straight ally and at the same time just doing my thing. And I can't get mad at them and say, well, I'm going to cancel you because you're mislabeling my pronouns. Because if you're a cisgendered white male, heterosexual, cisgendered white male, no one gives a shit about your pronouns. While the same side that does this crap says, you better care about what we have to say, otherwise you're a bigot. And like it or not, there are going to be some people who are not going to support what you're doing. So, if you're truly confident with who you are as a person, stop giving a shit what everyone else thinks about you. It's liberating. And the insults I get, are they annoying? Yes. But am I going to stop being myself? Fuck no. And I don't like the term cisgendered. How can a cis be a gender? I've had a cis removed once. They're not fun. I prefer the term biologically gendered, or we could be smartasses about it and call it birthing gender. Because you can't say women give birth, even though that's biology 101. Women give birth, men provide sperm for the egg, and then the egg and the sperm mix together, and it forms a baby. That's just basic science. And you can't say that because that's offensive to some people. You gotta call them birthing people because it's more inclusive that way. Because you can't say shit like birthing people, or birthing, you know what I'm saying? Because women are people too, yes, but women give birth. Men do not. The only way a trans person could have a baby, theoretically speaking, is if a woman were transitioning into a dude, but she hadn't removed her uterus yet. No, it's ridiculous. A lot of these extremist woke assholes want us to be respectful of their pronouns, but when you call out the bullshit, it pisses people off. If gender was not defined by genitalia, then you wouldn't get the surgeries, would you? You could just say you're a chick and people would have to accept it, otherwise they'd be intolerant. And I'm like, that's not how it should work. I'm not trying to argue science and birth versus your human rights here, but it's the truth. Women have been taking crap from us men for a long time, and quite frankly, a lot of them are sick of it. You'll hear a lot of things from women saying that their gender is not a costume, and they're not trying to treat it like it's a costume, so to speak. They truly believe that they're a female trapped inside a man's body, and it's sad. I feel sorry for trans people, to be honest, because you have to rely on someone else's validation to feel good about yourself. Fuck that. Look, I'm a straight ally to a point, but when you're watching the gay pride parades and adults are walking around naked in front of kids, and you can't call it out for what it is because you're intolerant, that'll make you intolerant of the LGBs. And I'm like, screw that. That is nasty. Nobody wants to see your private parts. The pride parade should not be about nudity or sexuality. It should be about acceptance, pride, and tolerance. And it's not very tolerant if you have a member of LGBTQ+ who supports Trump. Everyone in that community will ostracize and alienate you. You can't even agree on what you want your flag to look like. Because the new gay flag got so much fucking hate. But it's all about tolerance and acceptance, right? Fuck off. It is. It's supposed to be about tolerance and acceptance, and it sucks that there are not going to be people who align with your groupthink because they got their own groupthink going, but that's life. Like it or not, people are entitled to their opinion. It doesn't make them right. It doesn't make their opinion more important than yours, but that just means we're all people and we're all trying to exist. And I still have like a little bit of eyeliner left from the other night when I was wearing it. Eh. Here's my problem with the whole trans thing. You got people now who identify as trans disabled. People who will go around saying they have autism when they have never been properly diagnosed, and they don't even have autistic traits or symptoms. They just want to feel special and included. People who identify as trans disabled or transracial. You got white people who think that they're black, so they inject themselves with melatonin and start acting black. And it's like, that is cultural appropriation at its finest, and you're so doing like the ultimate form of blackface. But if you call it out for what it is, they can call you a trans racist phobic piece of shit. And it's like, what the fuck? Is our society on crack? Like, seriously, could you imagine 500 plus years of black people being oppressed by white people, just to have white people turn around and say that they're black now because that's how they feel? And it's like, no, I draw the line at transgender, because the second you start letting people do this crap, they're going to run crazy with it and take advantage of political wokeness. That's what it is. Unfortunately, you're going to have a couple of perverts who want to see some chicks in a certain state of position, and they're going to take advantage of political wokeness. And when you call them out for their shit, everyone's so quick to defend them and be like, you're just a bigot, you didn't. I'm like, yeah, but on the one hand chance that maybe they're lying because they want to see naked chicks. Which, you don't gotta lie about being trans to see naked chicks, man, and make other women feel uncomfortable. You really don't. They have websites for that kind of thing. Chatterbait! Excuse me. If you want to see naked chicks do their thing, then they have websites like Chatterbait where you can do that and not be a prick about it. I'm just saying. And unfortunately, that's kind of what ruins it for the whole letting trans people use the bathroom they feel comfortable with. At the same time, they have gender-neutral bathrooms, and, like, no one's gonna lose their shit over it. Like, unfortunately, you're gonna have the one bad apple that ruins it for y'all, and that's quite frankly bullshit, because in my personal opinion, trans people do not need any more negative publicity. Especially after bitches like Audrey Hale. Fuck Audrey Hale. She's that stupid transgendered cunt that pulled a mass shooting in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm not going to acknowledge her pronouns. She identifies as a dude. But it's like, you're not a dude, you're a chick injecting yourself with testosterone. And dudes were more than just testosterone. You know what I'm saying? But that's just my opinion. And why she did it, because she had a crush on this girl she went to school with, and that girl died in a car crash, and that school also bullied her relentlessly, so in her fucked up mind, that justified what she did. Fuck that. I wonder if the cop who shot her had a one-liner like, I got your testosterone shot right here, bitch.